The sun dipped below the horizon, seeding the sky to twilight. Avery Taylor clutched her jacket tighter around her lithe frame as she stood at the outskirts of Rabbit Creek, a forgotten corner of Hawthorne County. Rumors of the green mist had plagued the town the last few weeks, feeding dark whispers of madness and death amongst the locals. But the worst of those rumors were yet to come. Her father, Sheriff Ray Taylor, was rumored to be trapped in the mineshaft where the mist lingered like an ominous specter. With determination hardened in her chest, Avery stuffed the last of the supplies into her backpack. A flashlight, a hatchet, and a few snacks that her father had always said were better than bullets in desperate times. Her pulse raced as the reality of her mission sunk in. Saving him was dangerous, but she couldn't lose him, not to the mist that turned men into beasts. The moon glared coldly, bathing the landscape in a ghostly glow as she made her way toward the forgotten mineshaft just beyond Rabbit Creek. Each step crunched the remnants of the dry leaves beneath her boots. She was conscious of every sound, every rustle of the wind that felt more alive than the rest of the world around her. Just days ago, the town had been alive with laughter and smiles, but the arrival of the green mist had twisted the population into hideous forms, gnarled and stained with the essence of death. As she approached the shaft, Avery's heart fell. A faint green glow pulsated from deep within the black maw of the tunnel, and a shiver raced down her spine. Shadows darted just beyond the torchlight, whispering her name in voices that scratched at the edges of her sanity. Avery took a deep breath, steeling herself before stepping inside. The air thickened immediately, intertwining with the sickly sweet odor that clung to the walls. "Dad!" she shouted, her voice echoing against the stone walls. Silence greeted her, followed by an unsettling moan that reverberated in her bones. She pressed on, darkness swallowing her whole as the path twisted one way and another, like living veins. The green mist danced around her, curling and lapping at her boots like fondled tendrils. Suddenly, a loud crash mingled her thoughts with silence. Avery jumped, her instinct flaring as she peeled away from the path, every fiber of her being urging caution. In a chaotic rush of adrenaline, she dashed forward, rounding a corner only to come face to face with something that chilled her blood. A figure stood silhouetted in the shadows. Its hands were gnarled, and its skin, pale as moonlight, glistened with rancid essence. "Help me!" it rasped, a familiar longing curling around the words like poison ivy. It was a man. Avery's breath caught. Her father stood before her, drenched in despair. Avery rushed to him, but something within her flickered with dread as she reached for his hand. "No, don't touch me." His eyes darted wildly, the vibrant blue of the ocean now clouded with a fog of torment. "The mist, it changes you. It's too late for me." The echo of his voice split her heart, and she fell back, fighting her tears. Fear gutted her, but she steeled her resolve. "Then I'll get you out of here. Run!" He stumbled, his face a mask of horror as the mist curled around him, feeding off his fear. A horde of twisted creatures slithered from the shadows. Townsfolk who had succumbed to the green terror. "No, no," Avery screamed, her instincts screaming for her to flee, to abandon her father to the darkness. But the girl from before, the daughter, the protector, wouldn't let that happen. She reached for the hatchet in her pack, feeling the cold metal nestled within the warmth of her hands. With a primal scream, she leaped toward the nearest creature, slicing the air before her. The blade struck true, severing the gnarled arm of a man who, only days ago, had been a pillar of the community. Blood sprayed against her, the metallic tang invigorating her fight. "Follow me!" she yelled to her father, dodging another biting lunge from one of the infected as she swiveled around him. They danced in and out of the green mist, bloodied and determined. Avery led her father through the twisting tunnels, battling every relentless ghoul. Panic rushed through their veins, and every footstep became a ticking clock. counting down the moments before the mist devoured them whole. "Avery, the shaft, we have to climb," he shouted, motioning toward a narrow beam of moonlight filtering through a crack in the ceiling. Grim determination thickened her throat. There was no way they could make it. They were outnumbered and outmatched, but if they didn't try, they'd die here. Quickly retrieving a small flare from her pack, she lit it, throwing it toward the horde. The ensuing blast ignited a fiery dance, illuminating the horror around them, igniting the creatures into chaotic frenzy as they clawed toward the light. "Go! Go!" Avery screamed as they sprinted towards the shaft, clawing their way up the rocky incline to escape the darkness behind them. Heart hammering, hands clawing at stone and dirt, they broke through into the night air. The green mist billowed behind them like an angry beast. But before total relief could wash over her, Avery felt a tug at her heart. The mist had latched on to her father. This time, however, there was no running. Avery turned to face her father's pained eyes, knowing the truth of what she had to do. The moment hung as she gauged the man in front of her, the sheriff she loved, now hungering for flesh. "Put me down, Avery," he said hoarsely, "before it's too late." In knee-deep weeds under the midnight sun, guilt spiraled in her stomach, yet her heart resonated with love. "No, you're my dad." "Yes," he whispered, "I want you to live." And as the sun began to rise, casting away the mist for good, Avery made a blood-chilling decision. The flare's light danced without her as she unfurled the hatchet, and with one swift stroke set him free. This town would reap of nightmares for years to come, but the mist would wander without its king for eternity. Avery turned away, her heart heavy, but the dawning hope ignited within her soul. She would make it out. She would tell their story, end the spread of the green horror that had consumed too many. As she walked away, she saw silhouettes re-entering the shadows, flickering in and out like the memories of those long lost. The mist would remain, and she'd chosen to fight another day. Behind her, the sounds of mourning echoed through the valley, a dirge for the lives claimed, and she knew the battle to save Rabbit Creek was only just beginning.